Why I love this podcast is because it's one thing to experience culture, but it's another thing to archive it. We need the stories to be told.
Our priorities say a lot about where our headspace is at.
I really think it's about relationships.
The only thing stopping anybody from getting what they want is themselves. You just don't want it bad enough.
Hey, what's up? I'm SoSuperSam, and you are listening to Creative Ambiance.
What up, creatives? Welcome back to Creative Ambiance. I'm joined today by Samantha Duenas, better known as SoSuperSam. She is a lot of things, but most popularly known as a performing artist and a DJ, which I definitely want to get into. But first off, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling net positive.
Net positive.
Yes.
I love that term.
So it's sort of like you wake up, you do a little assessment, like some things are cool, some things not so cool, but overall the good outweighs the bad, so net positive.
I love that. We were talking a little bit off camera about the positivity facts, which we won't go too deep into, but just the fact that like you realize that the negatives are there, but you choose to focus on the things that are positive, and that probably influences how you feel about the day, right?
Yeah, I feel like day to day fluctuates. There are some days that are not net positive sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I can usually tally up more dubs than L's.
I like that.
I like to live like in that space.
You take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because the goods wouldn't be good if
Exactly.
you didn't have the bads.
There's no good without bad. And yeah, and then you really learn. I think the bads are like not even bad. I have a really big issue with the word bad.
Really? What is
Yes.
it? What is it about
I think that it's not it's a concept to me that it feels too linear and too defined, and I feel like we are complex beings, and really sometimes the bad is really a good in disguise. There's always a lesson in the bad. And really when it's like bad, it's like there's so many words in this dictionary to help describe what is actually happening or what you're really feeling or your actual quality, and it's not bad.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because bad is like all consuming if you throw something into that bucket. Because something bad that could be a lesson could be the same as like you getting hit by a car. You know what I mean? Because it's all bad. Yeah.
It's all bad, but it's not that bad. Or you tell a kid that that was bad. It's like, really? Like, I don't know if it was bad, but it could be done different.
There's so many different ways.
There's just so many different words. And I like to explore all the different words.
That's a really cool concept.
That are good and bad.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to live your life.
You're just trying different philosophies.
Well, you are somebody who has lived many different lives. From your early, days in education, I think you were majoring in economics at UCSD, right?
I was, yeah.
To getting into the entertainment industry as a dancer.
That's right.
Obviously, your music career as a recording artist, and then a DJ, an entrepreneur life with 143. Radio hosts, and now entering motherhood, which is a new chapter, which I definitely want to get into. But I guess what I'm getting at is you've transitioned so fluidly between mediums in your life. How do you approach each of them? Is it the same or is it different?
I've been thinking about this a lot because, first of all, it kind of the optics may suggest fluid, but I feel like each transition is so challenging and so difficult, and not as fluid. I think internally it feels like a struggle and it feels like it doesn't make sense. But I think, and what I've been reflecting on is that I think the approach has always been the same in thinking about my past lives and endeavors and then into what could be next. I think the way I've always approached it, which is a through line, is that I like a puzzle. I like to creatively solve puzzles.
Okay.
And I think whatever is in front of me at that time that piques my interest or intrigues me or I find to be a creative challenge, I think that's what stimulates me, and that's how I approach everything in my life, is like, what's the creative problem or challenge, and then I'm usually stimulated by trying to solve it.
That's very cool. So you're more excited by the
Yeah.
challenge than, I guess, intimidated, as
Yeah.
some people might be.
Totally. I mean, that's not to say it doesn't come with like its own set of fears. But in terms of the actual approach and execution, I think that's what drives me.
Okay.
It's like, ooh, this is in front of me. And economics is different from backup dancing, and that's sort of different from motherhood, but they're all the same in that I see them as like a puzzle that I want to solve.
Do you do puzzles?
I
in
do
real
puzzles,
life? You
and I
actually
do puzzles, and I be doing puzzles too. But yeah, I think that's what I've been reflecting on, because it has been like this real, spectrum of different chapters and different, endeavors and ventures.
Yeah.
But that's what is similar to all of them.
That one thing that ties them together in terms of, sounds like embracing the challenge.
Embracing the challenge and like, striving to solve it with my resources and my instincts.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
from
pretty
the
cool.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting to hear how that part of your mind works.
Well, I think it's useful information, and the reason why I've been reflecting on it is because I do feel like I'm in a different chapter right now, and perhaps on the precipice of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a part of me that's been questioning, like, why do my passions change so often, or what is the difference between now and then?
Yeah.
And am I capable or competent to do whatever's I'm destined to do next?
Yeah.
The same way I was able to do X, Y, and Z in the past. And I feel like that inherently is my characteristic that I can, and my quality that I can take into the future.
Yeah.
Is that, I am always stimulated by a challenge and like something creative to solve, and I'll do it in my own way. And I'm fairly artistic and creative about whatever it is that I am going to do, whether it is motherhood or it's DJing or it's, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It seems like more of a superpower for you than for some people. I think it could be a distraction because they can't focus on maybe something at one time. But for you, it seems like that's like a talent, of yours.
Well, it's turning like the negatives into positives. Like, okay, well, I feel scattered. I'm gonna be a buck with you right now. Like, today, I'm like not sure like what's in store for me next.
Mm-hmm.
Feel a little bit scattered, but it's taking that scatteredness and being like, well, what's the superpower in that? It is that I want to take things, when I do find what's next for me, I trust in myself that I will take it on as an artist and as a creative.
I was going to ask you, I have a question based
so-
off of that. Like, I think when you look at the different, mediums that you've explored throughout your life and career,
Yeah.
I just looking at it from my angle, you do them at like a prolific level, right? You do them like really well. So when you look at these past puzzles that you put in your life and you've done them so well, or put together the puzzles, does it give you confidence moving forward that like the next thing I'll be able to handle it because look at what I've done in the past?
Exactly. And I think that's what's fueling my confidence and my trust in myself, even though, I'm not sure what exactly it is I want to do next.
Yeah.
Or what's in store for me. I feel like I'm trying a lot of different things, but I know that's sort of fueling my confidence in myself. Is like, all right, like I've never let me down before.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that I take on, I know I'm going to take it on so wholeheartedly, and I'm going to be authentic about it, and then I'm going to really give it my all, and I trust in that.
It seems like a beautiful place to be in, and very relieving, because I feel like that comes with experience. Maybe when you were younger, you didn't have, maybe you had anxiety from the same things of the unknown. I don't know, but
No, I did. I think that I grew up, and even just in the last decade or so, like I've always been very results driven and performance driven, and I felt like my list of actions was the way I identified who I am. But that's simply not the case. I think after a lot of like therapy and like really like pumping the brakes and like doing the inner work that, to be the best version of ourselves, I realized I am not what I do. I am who I am. And what I do is an extension of what's inside of me. And so sort of like just re-evaluating everything and kind of coming to that deeper understanding has been very relieving for me.
That's very cool.
Where in
Yeah.
the past, I think it's fueled a lot. I was driven a lot by like anxiety or fear of like, if I stop doing something, then I will cease to exist.
Because you tied yourself to the identity of that.
Correct. Yes.
I can see exactly what you mean. I feel like looking at like myself and what you're saying right now, I'm just like, I kind of resonate with that in some aspects of my own life. I'm sure people listening do too.
I'm not sure how many others can relate to that, but that's definitely, a mindset that was a blessing and a curse. I feel like it drove me, but it also sort of paralyzed me spiritually.
I see. It seemed, yeah. And it seems like I feel you. It seems like you're doing that on like both a micro and a macro level too, because like what you said right now seems like more like overlooking a lot of aspects of your life. But even when you walked in, I was just like, how was your day? And you're just like, you mentioned how you're just like taking a look at the goods and the bads and you're like auditing, your day. So you're even practicing that, it seems like on like a small level, which is cool to see. You know what I mean? Like it seems to be at different levels of your life.
Yeah, it's just an interesting lens. But I find it to be relieving and like peaceful.
That's a great words to describe it. Have you always been, or have you always had a lot of interests as you were growing up as a child?
Yes.
You have?
And I think that's, again, it's like I always did a lot. I was always busy. Had no chill. So, my mom always talks about, oh, you had so many activities. And like, I think looking back, I would say that I was overscheduled.
Even as a kid?
As a kid.
Oh.
Pero, like, I loved it. I just didn't know any other way. I loved it. My mom said, you didn't have enough hours in the day.
Wow. That's crazy.
You would wake up early. You're always trying to learn something. You're reading a book. You were playing a sport. You were learning an instrument. You were at dance class. Like, you loved school. You wanted to be involved in everything and absorb everything and listen and learn. I think that still holds true today.
It seems like it.
Again, blessings and curses, right? Like, so I did that all the way through fucking COVID, whatever.
It was 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. And so I had no chill. Like, if I wasn't doing something with purpose and an objective or some sort of utility, I was like, well, then am I even...
you feel like guilty for not being that way.
Or like I did not know how to sit still. I felt like, oh, I need to go do something. So that has deeper, I think, psychological repercussions that, I think we all need to like come to terms with, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
The good and the bad of like what that provides for you career wise, but the toll that takes on your mental and your
spiritual journey and your psychological journey. Yeah, all of it. Again, I think realizing that we're so complex.
Yeah.
And then really, I think, taking the time to understand our complexities and how what we do affects who we are and vice versa.
Right. She's getting into it. Come with Sam on his journey.
Step into my mind.
We're stepping into it. We're in the mind right now.
Welcome to my mindset. It's fun in here.
It really is. We're diving in.
It's a lot.
Oh my gosh. What were there any signs early on that you were going to be leading into music or
Yes.
performance?
You know, I grew up dancing, singing around music my whole life. I can recall, and it's interesting. I think about this a lot lately because I have a daughter who's 3. So I remember dancing when I was 3.
Wow.
And I was just sharing with her that my first favorite song was Richie Valens' La Bamba. And I was dressed as a bumblebee on Halloween and I was dancing with my dad and I had rhythm and I was like little shaking my ass. And I was like, it's such a core memory for me. And I don't really remember that. I'm not the kind of person that remembers everything, but I remember that. And then cut to my next like real solid memory was performing. You know, when I was 5, I took dance class and I was very serious about dancing.
Well, even at that young age.
At that young age. And then, you know, that led into, I took any dance class I could take.
So that was the first kind of creative medium that you jumped into.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I stuck with dance all the way through the end of college and out of college. I felt like I wanted to see it through because that had always been a constant for me. And I just loved performing. So even my college personal statement for my college applications was about that performance when I was 5 and how I could feel the warmth of the lights. And I turned on, like I felt alive. And I just always do feel... Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
No, I love the emotion.
Yeah, like I feel like it's just some type of way when I'm on a stage.
A lot of passion, and it's cool to see you carry that into your performing artist career. Because when I look at like even your music videos or your on stage presence, it's like very much choreographs that are involved in it, right? So it's like it prepared you even for the parallels of your artist career. It seems like in the future.
Yeah, it all fed and informed, you know, every music video and even just the way I see a party or I envision a DJ set or something. It all kind of stems from this foundation of dance and music. I also grew up around DJs my whole life. So.
Did you? Who were the DJs that you grew up around?
So my cousin is Tommy Gunn, and he was the manager of the Beat Junkies.
Oh, that's a dope
90s.
Name, Tommy Gunn. Damn,
he's a legend. And his house was behind my house. So our garages were like over the fence from each other.
Wow.
And I was a little kid, but you know, we would go to family parties and he was the DJ and the Beat Junkies were at his house and I saw turntables and vinyl and Adidas sneakers and all that 4 elements of hip hop. Like they were in my backyard.
That's a crazy experience. It's like the legends are there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was really what a blessing to grow up that way. As a kid, you don't really understand its impact on and how it might affect you later. But at the time, you know, I was like, well, that's cousin Tommy and he has a lot of shoes and these are record, like, okay, I just like kind of photographed that information in my mind. And then you know, as one does, you kind of like go through high school and you like date little DJs and like, you know,
so you're always
like homies. I was dancing at all the parties and then my friends were DJs and the boy I had a crush on was a DJ and like all the boys I had a crush on were DJs.
That's so funny.
In high school.
So
it was like around.
It had a big influence then, even on your taste and in your dating life. That's crazy.
It was around. It's like not hard to find a DJ when you're a SoCal like Filipino girly like out and about in LA. So
yeah, it's like a lot of parallels.
It was a part of the landscape. And so it's something that I always wanted to do. I was kind of like, ooh, that seems like a cool skill to learn. And then I could never afford it.
Oh, the decks and just the equipment and it's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. The buy-in back then was pretty high.
Different than it is now.
Oh, yeah. Because a pair of turntables back then was, I mean, 800 a pop or something.
Yeah.
And then you got to get the mixer. And then you got to get speakers. And then you had to get vinyl.
It's a big commitment.
Huge financial commitment.
Because they didn't have any like starter like DJs.
No starter kit.
Yeah.
Babe, the barrier for entry was high.
Yeah.
Because then you had to find it. It wasn't like readily available necessarily at like, Guitar Center.
Right.
I think I bought my pair used from a friend, and then you had to source records. You had to go fucking find them.
And crate dig.
Yeah, dig in the crates. And then you have to find someone to teach you.
Yeah.
'Cause there was no YouTube back then.
That's true.
You didn't just have MP3s on the laptop. Like, that's not the era that I learned how to DJ. So it was just different.
I feel like that says something though about like the commitment part of it, because back then, you mentioned all of these factors at play, and if you're still doing it and moving forward, it's just like, okay, you're in it for maybe not the long haul, but you're in it to like be committed, versus maybe in today's age, it might be not, you might not have those various factors or aspects at play,
Right. Well, and I think the game was different too. So the homies that I had in high school who were DJs, they had a crew, and they were mobile. So one person would just try to get the funds to buy this setup, and they would try to recoup their costs by playing house parties and dances, like high school dances, to try to recoup the funds and then use the money to buy, more records. It was just a different entry point. And so for me personally, it wasn't until after college, and even after I was a backup dancer, that I had a job, like a 9-to-5, that paid me enough to be like, ooh, I could probably actually pick up DJing as a hobby because I can afford the equipment.
The disposable income.
I had the this discretionary income to buy the stuff.
What was that? I think I read like you were in PR and advertising. Was that one of those jobs?
Yes. Okay. So I was working in advertising, and then also in fashion PR. And then I was like, I think I can afford these turntables, and my friend is selling them. I think it's time. So I got my own setup, and then I was like, this is a great creative outlet, because I was feeling the burn in the office job.
I see.
I think that type of work really sparked my, creative outlets.
Right.
And DJing was one of them.
Thank God that happened, because there would be no SoSuperSam.
Oh my gosh. SoSuperSam was my fashion blog, which was my other outlet. So I would sit at my desk and I would write my blog spot, which was all like fashion and like lifestyle photos of the Olsen twins.
And back then, blogs were popping, right? That was at the blog era?
Blog era.
Okay.
I had a Zanga, and then I had a blog spot.
Sheesh. Tumblr too?
I had a Tumblr.
Oh, let's go.
Like, she was on it, like registered. If there's a platform, I'm gonna register SoSuperSam.
TikTok soon.
Yeah, I have SoSuperSam on TikTok.
Okay, perfect. You have it.
Yeah, you'll have to help me with TikTok.
Got you.
But I had a fashion blog called SoSuperSam, and then when it was time to like come up with the DJ name, I was like, SoSuperSam, I already have the blogspot.com.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah. And then I can post my mixes onto my fashion blog.
Ah, that's cool. You tied the two worlds together. What influenced SoSuperSam for the blog?
It was something that I always said. It was part of my vernacular. I'd be like, oh my God, that's so super cute. Oh, that is so super chic. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Like just total LA.
Your tagline.
Early, yes. And so it was like, SoSuperSam. That has alliteration. I love alliteration. It's a great literary device. So I will do SoSuperSam.
I like it. Thanks for explaining how that birthed.
I don't know. Yeah, that is the birth story of SoSuperSam.
I love it. Well, to touch on the confidence piece a little bit more.
Sure.
I feel like obviously as a recording and performing artist in the DJ side of things, you have to have a lot of confidence, right?
Yes.
And we talked about how you grew up just kind of immersing yourself in dancing and we're doing a lot of things. It seemed like you have had a high level of confidence throughout your entire life. Is that something that you had to develop, or you just have kind of always had with you?
Good question. And I don't know if I would call it confidence, because I think confidence is this comfort in knowing that you're all right, even if you make some mistakes and you are learning. That part was not okay with making mistakes. I wanted perfection at all times, and overachieving at all times. So, but I will say what I have always had is balls. And
Nice.
balls. I've had balls and in a sense of independence my whole life. So
Okay.
I will put it this way. I've never been afraid to try something by myself.
Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister.
Okay.
She's 2.5 years younger than me, but I'm the oldest. So if there was new territory to be discovered and explored, it was going to be me
You the
doing
guinea
it.
pig.
Yeah, so I was guinea pigging literally anything. And I have to say, one of my qualities that I am most proud of since I was a kid is that I was not afraid to sign up for anything, even if none of my friends were doing it, or, people were like, what are you doing? Or like, no one went with me. I was down to just go.
Okay.
So I think I've always been confident about learning
Okay. Got it.
and just showing up and perhaps being the only one I know doing it. And I think that's always been the case with me.
Okay.
I've never been afraid to just do something by myself.
That's a really, I feel like, valuable skill to have,
Yeah.
especially as a kid. It
Yeah,
seems like
especially as a
serves you.
kid. Because I feel like the majority of even my friends growing up, they're like, well, I'll try it if you try it. Or I'll go if you go. Or if she's going, then I guess I'll go. If she's not going to go, I'm not going to go. And I'll be like, what? I'm going. I want to go. So
Pull up dolo. Yeah.
yeah,
too.
I will go by myself.
I want to touch on motherhood a little bit later, but is that something that you try to instill in your daughter, or something you're cognizant in?
Yes. And I do feel like a lot of the reflecting, a lot of the work, a lot of the reason I go to therapy is to impart, this curation of what I feel are the things I want to instill in my child versus the things I want to leave behind or rewrite.
I see.
So it's this constant, for me, assessment of okay, taking inventory, what worked, what did not, in my opinion, work. What are the qualities I want to pass on? What are the qualities that I feel like, we're good. I don't want to pass that on.
I see.
And
Yeah.
I have to be really cognizant and mindful of what these things are, because they do leave lasting impressions. Some of these things are so formative.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as we're discussing it right now, these are a lot of the things that I think about.
For sure. I think we all look at our parents, whether it's a mother or father in your life, and I'm sure there's things that you love about your mother or father. There's
Yes.
things that you're like, I don't want to be like that when I grow up.
Correct.
But I think that it's sometimes even if you look at the good or bad of those things, it's just damn, I'm like that. And
Why am I like this? Yeah.
exactly. Why am I like this?
Right.
So it's true that your kids will eventually pick that up as well. And I could tell that you care a lot about, influencing your child in that way. But to pivot back to the confidence piece, I also read that you had to get comfortable with the singing part of your career.
Yeah, definitely a lot of, I don't know. I think that when it came to creativity, it was always sort of secondary to academics, and sort of always classified as not a viable or a valid skill set. I never really claimed to be a singer.
Oh,
It's just something I did. Again, the doing, but less of the internalizing, like what that means to me, or like da, da, da. I love singing. I did it my whole life. I did musical theater, choir, anything that involves singing. I did it. But if you were to ask me, like, are you a singer? I'm like, no.
Was that the imposter syndrome?
A bit of imposter syndrome. I just did not validate myself in that way. I felt like, there's no way. A singer is Mariah Carey.
You're holding yourself up to the...
Yeah, I'm holding
goats.
myself up to like the highest, most impossible standard, and not really even giving myself credit for like, bitch, you can sing.
Yeah.
You can be a singer too.
For sure.
Like, there's levels to this.
There is.
But yeah. So that was really interesting to contend with, because, yeah, for the longest time I was like, well, no, I'm a DJ.
Oh, you're categorizing yourself as
Yes,
that.
just like I'm in that box and that's what I do. And no, I'm not singing. And I don't know, over time, I got more comfortable with it.
How did you have to shift any parts of your mindset in order to get over that?
Yeah, definitely tried to access, just again, like overcoming and really like accepting. Accepting all parts. I think there's probably a portion of me that was like, well, if you're a DJ, then you can't be this. Like that, my algorithm in my head was like, okay, if you're this, then you can't be this.
You have to pick one.
You gotta pick one. It wasn't until maybe I think 5 years into DJing full time or something, I was like, no, I can be all the things.
Yeah.
And I could do it all at the same time. I don't know. Let's fucking try. Let's just do the thing. Fuck it. And so I did the thing. Fuck it. And I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did well with that. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It ended up turning out well.
You gotta have a fuck it button.
Yeah. You do.
Yeah, because you can only
press that.
You can only think of it and prepare so much, and then you gotta say fuck it. I'm just gonna go as I am and see what happens.
Yeah,
and then just really try my best.
Do you have any advice for maybe a creative that's listening right now or watching that is facing something similar like that? Like there's something that they know that they're good at, but just haven't taken that step to do it, or are just a little bit intimidated at the journey that's to come from it?
Yeah, I would just say start, start and really just take it all in as information. I think that's where I'm at, in the not defining things as good or bad or da-da-da-da. It's like really evaluating life as information. When you can pull your ego out and your, all your, just the stuff in your head and just see it as like, okay, I tried this. Did I like that? Did that feel good? What parts did I not like? What parts did I like? And you kind of sort of like carve your own path based on these like small check-ins on experience, but you don't know until you try. So I think it's good to just try and start. And I think what's hard about it right now is that social media is very intimidating.
Yeah.
I feel like you miss a lot of the process. It's so easy to just give yourself titles instead of earning them.
Yes.
And with that, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. So someone who may be genuinely trying to break into some sort of industry or career only sees the results. They're like, oh shit, like, how did that happen for them? Like, that's never going to happen for me.
And if I'm not getting that, then I lost.
I lost, and it's bad.
That's true. And then book it into this is
then
bad.
I'm bad.
This is
yeah, but it's like not. It's not how it really works. I think that it's all about process. It's all about patience, kindness, and grace to yourself, and really just day by day, bit by bit. And not taking that as like some sort of like poor reflection of yourself. If you can kick the ball down the field a little bit each day, little by little, you're gonna arrive at the goal.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So I think, but to start is probably the best thing I could ever say to anyone. Just start.
Yeah.
Also, big thing is like, and this used to cripple me as well, is like, be like, okay, I'm trying this thing. If I do not see it through and get to the top of the pinnacle definition of success of whatever this is, then I have failed.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of mindset and entrepreneurial podcasts and clips and things. And something that really stuck with me recently was Emma Grede. I don't know if you know who she is. She's the co-founder of Skims.
Oh, she's on Shark Tank and all that? Yes. Okay.
Gorgeous, 4 kids, like boop, 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 boop. But she speaks a lot. And one clip that I watched recently that I was like, yes, I wish someone told me this. Is she's like, entrepreneurs and people who are creative and just out here trying to succeed, they try. And that comes with a lot of failure. So go and try. Expect that not everything is going to work out. But you keep going. You keep trying. And then something's going to pop off and something's going to stick. And all the things that didn't stick, that's okay. You tried. And it probably gave you information for what you're working on and what is hitting. So it's just, you got to expect that.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like all eggs in one basket. Let's go. Fuck it. Like, we're going to rise to the top. It's like, no, babe. Like, just try all your shitty ideas. Maybe they're shitty. Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
But you don't know unless you try.
Exactly.
And then you just got to keep trying and perhaps fail. And like, it will lead to something else.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it'll divert into something else.
And I think when you talked about earlier about just comparing yourself to somebody who you're inspired by or somebody who is in a similar path as you and being like, that's success or that's a win in what I'm doing. It's like that person, you maybe or may not has been doing this for like 10 years, you know, and they went through that whole journey that you're talking about L's. And you have to sometimes be able to take away your emotions from it is what I'm kind of taking away from what you're getting at. Like, it's not easy to do because we all have emotions and you can't control the emotions. But I think removing the emotions as best you can from whatever it is that you're doing and just try to be logical is, I think, like a good feat to take. And to bounce off of that, you know who Jay Shetty is?
Yeah.
He has that podcast.
Yes.
I remember there was an interview with Kobe on it.
Oh my god,
like a legendary one, and he kind of talked about this that because he had that team that he coached for his daughter, for the Mamba Sports Academy, and he kind of teaches them that, you know, it's important that when you have feelings and emotions, whether they're negative or not, to recognize them. Yes. I don't know if you saw this clip.
I didn't see that, but
okay, yeah, and then just be like, all right, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, feeling anxious, like recognize it, accept it. And then after that, after you accept it, it's like, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. And
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he figured it out. Like, let's be honest.
And on the words of Kobe.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, who better to reference for mentality than him? But
yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying like don't feel. I'm just saying it doesn't need to go all the way to like, oh, this didn't work out, I feel sad about it. It should not equate to like, I'm a failure and I'm a bad person. Like, or like, I can never do this. That's not the information. Exactly. And that shouldn't be part of the discussion. I agree. It's really like, I feel sad. This didn't work out. What can I do? Or what can I extrapolate from this experience to further inform my next move or my next decision or moves. Do you think it's like it's not, I feel like it's a reoccurring theme that you're talking about with like self-evaluation and auditing what the process is. It seems a very important thing to do. I didn't really think about it, like even at any step that you are along the process. And I also think that there's an aspect sort of you and you could tell me what your thoughts on this, but these are my thoughts about it. Sure. But we talked about the emotional aspect of things and being okay to feel the emotions, but maybe not making the decision when you're emotional. And I feel like that applies to not only your creative career, but also just everything in life, like relationships. If you're mad at your partner or you're emotional, it's like probably not a good idea to talk about something yet. Yeah, take a beat.
Yeah.
Take a beat.
Exactly.
Breath.
I feel like it applies to what we're talking about with creative careers too.
Yes, I think it just applies to life. But really asking yourself, like, what's driving me? Or like, I'm heated right now. Why? Like, sit with it and like, what is it? Is it my ego talking to me? Do I really do I really want to do this in retaliation to that? Is this my true reaction? Like, what exactly, is this even what I want? What I'm about to say? If I send this message to somebody, if I feel a type of way, ask yourself. But you can't do that until you take a moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all same but different. Like, you can really apply some of these mentalities to literally everything.
Right.
I
agree.
Yeah, and it's sort of a game changer.
It is once you comprehend it. I also feel that it's okay to not be perfect at it, like,
yes, it's always like a
still
work in progress, right?
Yeah.
You're like this is so strange. I grew up Catholic, but
no way. So did I.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute. Did you go to Catholic school and stuff?
I went to catechism,
Okay.
first communion,
Okay.
confirmation,
Okay.
those stuff. But I didn't go to a Catholic school, but I did those steps, I guess, in the classes.
So, okay, did you go to church?
Yeah,
did.
I did growing up, yeah.
Okay, so I'm opposite. I went to Catholic school, was raised Catholic, but didn't go to church.
Oh, interesting.
So my standpoint is like, my Catholic, peers in Catholic school, some of them were devout Catholics.
Right.
But they're like, there's a air about it for some people that they're like, well, I go to church, so I'm like better than
Like
you.
self-righteousness.
I'm more holy.
I see.
Holier than thou. I'm
Yes.
like, oh. Well, so I think very early on, I was like, okay, like, what's church even for? It's not for saints.
Yeah. It's for sinners.
It's for people trying to not sin.
Yeah.
And when does church happen? Every week. And who keeps showing up? Everybody. So like, nobody's better than anybody. Nobody's holier than thou. If you're so perfect, why are you even at church? You ain't got nothing to work on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which isn't true.
Which is not true. So I think I've always just been like, no. We are just out here making all kinds of mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, we're still learning. Everyone's still learning. And that's like the hill I'm dying on, is like, the second I stop learning is like the second I'm like, wait, what are we doing?
That's a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta keep learning.
I think I heard Wes say this, and I know you're good friends with Wes.
I was actually on the phone with him.
Oh, no
That's
way.
why I was talking to him on the
So
way over, because
cool.
he's like, I was driving here and I was like, ooh, I'm going to Long Beach. Who do I know in Long Beach?
He's from Long Beach.
And I called him. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, no way. So cool. Yeah.
I love Wes.
Yeah, I know you guys are good friends. He said something, though, that is true. It's like a short phrase, but it's just like, L isn't an L if you take a lesson from it. It's only L if you don't learn from it.
Correct.
So, shout out Wes.
Shout out Wes. I was just on the phone with him.
Love that.
Great friend. Yeah, no, an L is an L. The only L's you really have are lessons.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what it is.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well, shifting gears here a little bit, I want to talk briefly about 143.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about it a lot, but
Listen, whoever wants to talk about 143, I'm here to talk about it. I love 143.
yeah, I do too. So, as do many people. Like, I grew up when I was younger, obviously in my early 20s, like going to them with all the homies, Yeah, for sure. And
So
just
cool.
such a cultural moment, and such a community. I feel like unlike any other, like you can count on that if you're going to that event, like everybody's going to be dancing. Like, even back then in my single life, like everybody's very approachable, everybody just wants to have fun and everybody dances. It's such a cool community, which I want to get into as well. But I want to touch on like a little bit of a different aspect of it. And I want to know, like, was it hard for you to kind of like let that go? Because the event side of it, at least, because I know that was like your baby and it was such a cultural thing. So I wanted to ask you that, like, how was kind of moving past from that for you?
It's something that I'm still processing. COVID changed everything. I came out of COVID. I am the girl that's like COVID. Like I just, but it was,
What do you mean?
I like, oh, then COVID messed it up. Yeah, but it did. Like it
did.
just really affected the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways. Well, I came out of that time period like my party was different and my career was different and I became a mom during COVID. So I was so different.
Yeah, that's a lot of lifestyle changes.
It's a lot of big changes and departures from when I entered COVID.
Yes, you could say so.
I was like 3 times removed from myself.
Oh my
felt
gosh.
like. So I'm still processing that. And I think 143 was sort of like part of the shrapnel of that sort of explosive time in my life. It just was different afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was different. And I wanted so badly to pass the torch. I wanted it to live on. And I wanted to see if I could still be part of it. And so I did all those like sort of different experiments. We put new DJs in place. We switched venues. We switched days of the week. I would go DJ and I would try different time slots. Like, what if I'm opening? Like, what if I'm not playing at 1 a.m.? Like, what if this person does the book? Like, I really tried it all.
Testing everything.
And the results from my tests, the information I gathered was, number one, I felt like I didn't want to be up late anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was late for me.
In this new chapter of your life.
New chapter. The essence was a little bit different. And I felt like a lot of the essence depended a lot on me and a certain lifestyle that I had.
Yeah.
That I no longer had.
Yeah.
Which was international DJing and traveling 20 days out of the month.
Yeah.
Felt like 20 days out of the week. 20 days out of the month, your girl was outside.
Yeah.
Like outside in outer space. Like fucking, I was out. And then I would come back for 143 and I'd bring all my friends from all over the world. And then boop, 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 ba, ba, ba. And everything was firing. And it was this beautiful machine of, and just like greased machine of like everything was feeding each other. My festivals were feeding 143 and 143 was feeding like fashion gigs and like everything was playing its part in this beautiful orchestra. And when I was like, no, I don't really want to fly and I actually like want to go to bed earlier and I feel like 143 really was affected by those changes within me.
Yeah.
And it's definitely my baby that stemmed off of exactly who I am and my partners, and we had just entered a different chapter, and I wanted to really preserve the spirit of 143 as it was. And that's what drove my decision to like pull it off the calendar.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. But that's not to say that, I think, again, it was a beautiful time. And I'm still mourning a lot. Like, I'm still grieving it a lot. And I'm also like, I'm happy for the impact it's made. And I also feel like there may be a new chapter of it,
Yeah. When you look back at those times, what feelings do you get?
Like, just wow. I am always just so impressed. I like look back, I'm like, wow, we fucking did that.
Yeah.
Like we did that and we had no idea what really we were doing. It wasn't calculated. It was all instinct and momentum, and it was adrenaline, and it was love, and I was really happy to have expressed just so many ideas through 143.
Yeah.
It really showed me that anything is possible.
It sounds like you weren't really expecting any of that to happen when you started it, right? It kind of grew into what it grew into.
It grew, and we let it grow. Like we said, okay, it was the yes. Like it was yes to everything. It started on a no. Like we started because I wasn't allowed to play hip hop or rap or house music. And I was like, but I needed the money to have a DJ career. And I was like, okay, I'll keep my residency, but like, what can I do? Creative puzzle to solve. I was like,
another one.
Another one. What can I do? I know I'm going to play Jodeci, and it's going to be a little cheeky because this is probably not what they meant when they said don't play rap. They didn't mean play Boys to Men, End of the Road. They're probably thinking you should play something else. But I was like, no, that is something that feels right for me. It feels genuine, something I genuinely love. So let's just play slow jams. And it had no expectations. I wanted to have free drinks, and I really just wanted to keep my residency, like so I could pay, like my cell phone bill.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and you look at it back then, there weren't a whole lot of events that were doing that, if any, at the time. Yeah, and you have inspired so many new ones in today's age, which have been like very openly saying like they were inspired by 143, things like slow jams,
love
those
guys, love
things like what Blessed is doing with his
Blessed used
Cleffing
to
season
at he's very kind.
yeah
Blessed, the cuffing season. I got a chance to play slow jams last year and see what they're doing. Like great, like innovators. And really cool concepts. I also played R&B and Ribs. And Kelvin's a friend of mine, and I love what he's doing, and really just levels.
So maybe when you were talking about earlier, just I feel like that's the legacy, right? Like just seeing so many people continue on with that movement in their own different ways is like really cool to see, in terms of like a legacy left behind. But I just wanted to ask you that because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the post feelings of something really great, coming to a conclusion, and the feelings after that come from it. And maybe, like you said, it's not the conclusion, but
thanks for asking.
Of course, yeah.
Because it really is like grieving a loved one, a lost loved one. But who knows? There may be something happening.
We'll have to see. I'll definitely be tapped in to see.
Check in to find out.
I will.
Something happens.
Keep tabs.
Keep tabs.
Another question about that. As somebody who got a degree from UCSD, went to college, did you learn more from being in college or from running 143 as an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, 143.
Oh, easily?
Easily. You learn a lot. I learned a lot from my time in college, but certainly not in terms of entrepreneurship. I got a lot of like lifelong friends. I learned how to be corporate facing. I had an internship at Morgan Stanley during my college years. So I learned how to like interface and a lot of like the mechanics of like just how to be a good worker and like be a good student, and then have like a boss, dynamic office setting, like hierarchy, if you will. But in terms of like real life skills, man, 143 was the best teacher. I mean, we didn't have any expectations, and then all of a sudden we're, registering for an LLC, and then we're doing, taxes, and we're, paying, we have payroll,
Yeah.
and, costs and revenues, and then staff. And I learned so much. I mean, I made tons of mistakes for
Right.
sure, but that was like a beautiful lesson in leadership and entrepreneurship and small business and marketing.
Yeah. Which was fire, by the way.
all of
I saw
the
the posters you
things.
put on the wall with all the quotes and stuff. That was so
Oh
cool.
my gosh. Yeah, we just tried everything. I credit, we had a beautiful trifecta of partners. So it was me, and then Ken, who is also, and Cody. So they were all DJs. All of us were DJs, but Cody had business acumen. He was a sales guy.
Okay.
He still is a sales guy.
Gotcha.
He's good at business development. He's good at selling. So he knew how to. He really was the backbone in the operations. He could tell me like, no, we can't afford that. Like he was the guy.
Okay.
He was that guy. Ken is a graphic designer, motion graphics.
Oh, perfect.
So he was the art.
Yeah.
And he would come up with these really like pure art like ideas. Like it was his art school. And he went to art school, but he's like, oh, we should make a zine. I'm like, yes. And like, oh, we should take lyrics and make them into posters. Okay. Like, yeah. And then I would just come up with like the dumbest shit. Like, we should have Cisco do backflips into the crowd and surprise everyone and sing thong song. And then I'm like, ha ha ha. And then Cody would be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, what? Like, that's a real thing? That can be a real thing? And he's like, I mean, we can afford it. And like, I think you just get the agent's number and then you do. And I'm like,
Just try shit.
yeah, let's fucking try. So like, I think, yeah, we learned so much.
That's really
It was really cool.
rare to find a team like that where you guys all have your own strengths, and it seems like you played to them well with each other.
We did, and that lasted for a really long time. And then, yeah, I think what was interesting is that I naively, I had this vision. I was like, I want to be a DJ. Like, I want to be a full-time DJ, and I want to travel, and I want to play big venues and like play a festival. And I was like very sure that every single DJ wanted the same thing. And it just turned out like my partners had no interest in that.
Oh.
And so like, I think, well, with Ken, we parted ways eventually because the party grew bigger than his vision.
Oh, really? He wanted it to be more intimate?
He
or-
wanted to keep it like, 300 people maybe max. And so when it started sort of scaling and then international touring, I'm like, bro, let's go. Gotta go to Jakarta quarterly and like do 143 in Indonesia. He's like, I don't want to. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to? How could you not want this?
Yeah.
And it just, I could not conceive a world where like not everyone wanted the same thing as me.
That's an
or
interesting
the
lesson.
same thing out of this experience. And that was a big lesson for me. Very humbling. It's like, oh, okay, like you need to take a seat. Like you can do your thing, but like, not everyone wants the same thing out of this experience.
Yeah.
And same with Cody. I think, well, it worked really well with us because he was like, you know what? I just want to play from 9 to 10. I'm good. Sam, you take the keys, like just run with it. I feel good when I'm booking people and when I'm handling our finances and running the team and like doing that. And so we really found, our roles.
Yeah.
And they balance perfectly. Yeah. So it's just like finding strengths, like learning your team and learning how to work with that. And then hiring. I mean, it was just like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. We learned so much.
Yeah, from all aspects of it. Because it's such a small team, you all had to probably take part in every one of those aspects.
Yeah, the first couple years, like, it was me and my sister selling the merch, and then, but then like I was doing the door, and just we were all doing everything. And then we were each DJing, and then slowly I learned about delegating, and I learned about
that's a whole other art.
like outsourcing things. I was really again maybe imposter syndrome, but I was under the impression that if you were not the one doing it, that you were not doing it.
I'm
And I
the
was
same
like,
way.
what? Like, who even? I learned over time, like, no, that's actually not how good business runs.
Yeah, and scalability.
And you're really like, finding great talent and letting them do what they do really well. And
Trusting
then
them.
trusting, building like really good working relationships. So, yeah, it's just like all trial and error, but a lot of really like fun times. When I look back at it, I'm like, fuck, man, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like a lot of moments still like blow my mind.
Like an era of its own almost.
Yeah, and it is nice to be able to like reflect
Yeah.
because I think at that time we were just going so fast.
So you didn't have time to reflect when it was happening then, right?
No, it's not until like now that I'm like, whoa, how the hell did you do that? Or like, I can't believe you did that for so long, and like you got these guests and you took it to this place, and
Well, I hope you feel proud of yourself when you look back at it.
I do
Yeah,
feel really
you should.
proud. I feel really, really. I just wanted to make a party that was fun and silly, and I think, and something that felt really authentic to me, and I really feel really proud of the fact that I was able to have a space to do that, and the people around me to let me do whatever the fuck I was like. That was funny at the time.
That's the beauty of co-founding it. You do what you want
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a nice visit.
Yeah, a nice mental visit to that time in phase.
Yeah, just warm and fuzzy and funny.
Yeah. 143 will forever, I feel like, live on as that type of legacy. Vice versa, what have you learned from maybe your college life that you've applied to your career or just life in general moving forward? Or do you see value in what you went through in your educational career?
I think I love school. So like
Okay.
I just, again, an environment that I like thrived in. I loved school. I loved extracurriculars. I loved like turning in assignments. I was a procrastinator, but I loved the structure of it.
Okay.
I think it has helped me be a structured ass bitch. Like I think there's something to be said for, commitment and dedication and knowing from a young age like what your job is, like, and to show up for that job.
Yeah.
And see it all the way through. And really how to schedule your time and how to schedule your efforts and to to always be learning. I think being a student has made me a good student of life. In my experience, I know that not everyone like fucks with school, but for me, it was foundational. I think that again, it gave me a lot of structure and support and an environment where I could know what I was striving for and then strive for it.
Yeah.
That's a practice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So you see a lot of value in it.
Yeah, I see a lot of value in it. I don't think it's like life defining. I don't think I'm always like secretly jealous of people who know who they're going to be a doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, oh, I knew since I was 5 I was going to go be a doctor. I'm like, wow, that must be nice. You just know what the fuck you're going to do.
Yeah.
Forever. Like, you need to go to school, then you need to do this, and then you need to take the test, then you do the residency, then you get, you know what I mean?
It's laid out for you. Yeah, you follow the path.
Out, and you just follow. There is something really peaceful about that.
I agree.
Right? So, yes, but for me, I did love the foundation of schooling, and I would encourage everyone to go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know what you wanted to do after college when you were in college in terms of your corporate career?
I wanted to go into advertising.
So you knew that already.
Yes.
Okay.
I had this. I grew up in Culver City near this huge ad agency called Chiat Day.
Okay.
They did Apple, Taco Bell,
Oh, wow.
like the big
clients.
big clients. And I got invited to be in a focus group because they were testing out Pentel pens.
Oh, shit.
And like I was like 12 or 13 and I was like, oh, I use pens.
Perfect.
You need my opinion. So like,
use
I
pens.
remember this. And I would go in for these focus groups and they paid like $25 or something.
No way.
Like, yeah, but I got to walk into their offices. And
You
they're-
would have done it for free, huh?
Oh, for pens. I'll do it for pens. I would probably still do it for pens. But that was the first taste of like, oh, ad agency, like creative office. They had surfboards on the walls and like a ping pong table and like everyone was dressed really cool and kind of funky with statement glasses. And I was like, dang, this is tight. Like, and you want me to play with pens so that you can go and sell these cool jelly pens? Like, is there a better existence? I don't think so. So I think that's what I was like, okay, if I work in an office, I'm going to work in an ad agency.
Okay. Something clicked there.
Something clicked there. And then towards the end of college, I was like hard pivot into, I've been dancing my whole life. I need to see this through and I want to feel some full circle and like some closure on this thing I've been doing since I was 3.
Finish the puzzle.
Finish the puzzle.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
like
Sam.
what pieces are left. You get it. So that was like, I was like, Mom, like I know I should be applying at Google and Yahoo and like Gap Corporate and all these big corporate jobs because that's what I was like being, preparing for.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you're gonna move home and like become a dancer? And I was like, yeah.
Was she reluctant to that?
1,000%.
Oh, I bet.
She was not down. I mean, who would be? Like, that's
Yeah.
just like, I was told my whole life, like, dancing something you do for fun, and then you've got your serious academics and you have your career. Very separate. One is not like the other. And so, yeah, she was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go do it anyway. And I was able to do that. But it took me a long time to realize they could be part of the same equation, right?
Right. Yeah.
Part of the same puzzle.
Yeah. There you go. Another addition, maybe. Of the
Another
puzzle.
addition of the puzzle. Yeah. So it's been about like sort of interlocking.
And it seems like
Those
obviously, yeah, you're like even your DJ artist career too. I'm sure you maybe, I know you have a team manager and all that, but you probably handle a lot of the marketing of your own personal brand. Do you see parallels in that PR advertising world and how that served your own,
Yes.
career as artist?
So lately I've been doing more like sort of creative direction and like brand strategy for other people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's sort of something I'm exploring currently.
Oh,
and
perfect.
I, again, in reflecting upon the last decade or so, I'm like, I've always seen myself as like, I'm a DJ who was doing what I needed to do
Yeah.
to be a DJ. But really, upon further reflection, I'm like, oh, no. I was creative directing myself
You were.
and my party and like all this party that I did for 10 years. Like I was brand strategizing and creative directing, like these things that like I didn't even validate as part of my skill set.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing these are transferable skills that are so much more than playing 2 songs at the same time.
You were your biggest case study. You were your biggest
I
client.
have been my biggest client, not realizing like, yo, there's like hella brands out here that they want to do their art, but they don't know or want to do the other stuff that I have had such a acute awareness of and like passion for and drive to like perfect and like study and get it right and figure out the aesthetic. Like I really love that shit.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, oh, I would love to help more people.
That's
do
awesome.
that thing that I did for myself.
Yeah.
This whole time.
You're putting together other people's puzzle
Yes.
for them. Sorry, I can't overkill with the puzzle.
No,
thing,
no, but that's
it seems-
what this is. This is just puzzles, man.
Yeah.
People and puzzles.
People and
that is
puzzles.
life. You heard it here first.
That's right.
Life is just
From
people
SoSuperSam.
and puzzles.
That's all life is.
That is. So yeah, that's the puzzle, the piece of the puzzle that I'm sort of examining right now.
That's really awesome because I'm sure, as we spoke about before, the confidence of seeing you be able to accomplish things in a creative direction way with your own career lets you know that, like, no, I could do this for other clients or brands, and I can, like,
or other artists
Yeah.
or voices that need to be heard and seen, that I believe in what they're doing. I'm like, I can be of service in this way, and it brings me so much joy. Like that's the kind of stuff that that's my fun and free stuff. Like I love to do that for
Yeah.
others. I love to watch a show and be like, but if your lighting scheme was more like in the browns, and like if you put that piece right there and we just change your font type right like this, it could be amazing. Like that's how I'd be watching shows and like
no way.
like analyzing the world. I'm like, yeah,
that's interesting. So
it's an interesting lens.
do you find it challenging to turn off that part of your mind when you're just experiencing life? You know what I mean?
No, because I think that's the presence. That's the presence and the detail. And again, it's not meant to like, it's not talking shit. It's just like that's how I want to show up in the world, is like see a good thing, appreciate it, and then like figure out how we can make it even better and greater.
Yeah.
And I think that's the actualization that I've come to, is like I am that person.
Yeah.
I'm the person who likes to like see a good thing and try to make it great.
And I'm
like solve whatever the challenge is. Like I'm stepping up to it. Like I want to do that.
Yeah, that's just Sam. Is it the same way? Does it work the same way when maybe you're watching a show, or I'll say this because this is how it influences me. Like if I'm like thrift shopping and I see a design from like an old vintage, brand, and it gives me inspiration.
Yes.
In that same way, right? Where it's just like you're constantly maybe getting inspiration from things that you consume, and then
So that I think is creative direction.
yeah.
But realizing that not everyone views the world that way, and it is your special point of view, your special curation of how you take in the world, and then what you want to create with it. I think that is what's so personal and so unique, and what you've been able to do for you,
Yeah.
with your mind and your spirit and your heart and all the things combined. And then for me, like, and it's this, because anyone could have a podcast.
Yeah.
Anyone could mix two songs, really. I mean,
Yeah.
not to dumb it down, but it's your sauce, like what you bring to the table that is authentically you and uniquely you, and no one else.
Yeah.
That's the value you bring into this world. And I think that's something that I'm stepping into, is like, whoa, I've done this, I've done that, blah, 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 and I was so proud. And then what else can I do? How else can I contribute positively to this world, and uniquely to my like point of view?
Yeah.
How can I share it? And I think I'm learning there's infinite ways to make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, my calling in the last decade, 14, 15 years has been through DJing and events. And that's not to say that that's not there, but I feel more open to like other ways I can contribute positively to this world we live in.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're exploring and doing just that.
Yeah, it feels scattered, but again, I think to bring it back to the beginning is like, I think that I'm at least starting to understand like what the through line has been for me.
Yeah.
And then how I can now apply that same theme into whatever else the universe has in store for me.
I love that.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about?
There's one important topic that I think is resonating with your current chapter in your life, which is motherhood.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you first, I want to go back to something you said about how you took that risk to dive more into dancing, even though you had your educational life and your mother's like reasonable reluctancy to that.
Yeah.
If you were in the same shoes in later in life and your daughter doing something similar, how would you handle something like that where, you know, your daughter wants to explore something that's maybe not as stable or societally conforming?
Ooh, that is a good question and something I think about a lot. Well, I think that I'm in a position where I'm more open-minded, perhaps, than my parents were at the time. Immigrant parents. I mean, it all checks out, and for all the right reasons. So I'm not here to blame or shame. I'm here to really understanding that they were doing the best they could to provide me and my sister the best possible life.
Absolutely.
With what they knew and what they had.
Yeah. And to be fair, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Back then, there was no social media. There was nobody, there wasn't as many people able to make a creative career happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was about surviving.
Yeah.
And it was about assimilating. And it was about like, yo, get it how you live. Clearly now, you know, 40 years later, there's so many ways to get it how you live. And there's so many ways to live. And there's so many ways to get it.
Yes.
So, you know, that said, I really want to support, you know, my daughter to be exactly who she is. And nourish that and nurture that and validate it. And I think really it comes down, parenting, in my opinion, right now, it can be simplified into right and wrong, safe, and kind of that's it. Like, right and wrong and safe. So long as she's not doing anything illegal with her body or whatever, like, just, yeah, and her body is safe, like, bro, go get it.
That's amazing.
You know? Right now she's into everything. She's like trying everything. And I think one thing I'm being really mindful of is like, I know what I'm into.
Yeah.
And it's important for me to share what I'm into. But I don't want it to dictate what she feels she has to be.
Yeah.
Because like I just told you and all your listeners that you know, I did dancing and singing, and if she decides like she's a soccer player, like go after it. Like, please be that.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to be me. I'm asking you to be yourself. And I think that's where I just try to be really, really, you know, mindful of it. And whatever it is she's interested in, I want to teach integrity. I want to teach dedication, work ethic, and really being connected to your mind and your body.
I love that because no matter what she does, that can apply
to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mindset. And I right now, what I'm teaching is for her to learn how to learn. And that will really set, I think, a good foundation for her. So if you can show up and like learn, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Really. Is if it's school, if it's soccer, if it's ballet, if it's, you know, piano, just knowing how to be a student and learn and take it all in and then be free to be free to be and enjoy that. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Sounds so cool. In this new chapter.
It is.
Have you had to learn how to juggle being a mother and your creative artist career side of things, and are you still battling that, or?
It's feeling more clear now, but I think at first it was really hard for me to. I think also when your personal identity kind of bleeds into your professional identity, then when you become a mother and that becomes part of your personal identity, you're like, I was very confused about how that would affect me professionally. And it did, you know, like, so all of these different roles are speaking to each other, and I could not make any sense of it for a really long time. And it's still something that I think is becoming clearer, but something I'm working on actively. I think a big theme for me this year is honoring my creativity. And that, to me, it has been hard to make a priority.
What do you mean by that?
Because honoring my creativity means taking the time and the space to like think of ideas and nurture them, that ideas that have nothing to do with motherhood or having a family, or, you know, I can get so swept up in the mechanics of motherhood and doctor's appointments and Amazon and, you know, cooking dinner. And that's not to say that that isn't its own beautiful art in itself. Like what I'm shaping with my family. But this year has been about like really prioritizing me.
Your identity outside of
my
motherhood.
identity and my creative spirit outside of it. So if it's an idea that I have, then I take the time and I'll sit my ass down and like really think, when I could be doing, there's 100 things you could always be doing as a parent.
Right.
That seem to have more immediate satisfaction or immediate result, right?
Yeah.
Like I make the lunch, you eat the lunch. Like, but me thinking of like, I wonder if this artist from the 70s could really inform the aesthetic of my friends. This and that. What, you know, like just really allowing myself to like think. And
those are very polar opposite,
very
thoughts.
different spaces. And there was a really, in my opinion, dark time where I felt that none of that mattered, and that my sole purpose was, you know, swaddling a baby, you know, the right way, and like making sure the nursery is right, and like that was it. And it, again, I think it's a choice I made. But now it's like about, okay, how do I reconcile this part of who I am with this part of who I am? And are they mutually independent? And or is there a world where I do both?
Yeah.
And I am both. I am both.
Don't let anybody tell you no.
Yeah. So, you know, I think the existential struggle I'm always in is like, I can only be one thing at one time. And I think as I add more roles and more dimension, I'm just realizing, no, it's just enriching my existence. And it's not necessarily pulling one away from the other. We're really finding the middle path. Is that Buddhist?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I think it's easier for others. For me, maybe I'm just such a deep thinker and deeply feeling, you know, I think artist about things, that I've really, really, I just pour everything into the cup that's in front of me, and I'm like, all right, like.
Sounds like maybe you lost touch with the creative side by filling that cup up of motherhood in front of you, and now you're re-exploring that creative side.
But I think it was necessary. So, you know, it's like, okay, like doing this party, and I'm DJing here, and this is my venture. And then I think in the same way, with the same approach, I took on motherhood and with such artistic depth. You know, like shaping a household, shaping a childhood, shaping my motherhood. Like, really, the work that I feel I've done in the last like 5 years is like curating my family life, which in it of itself is, you know, is a piece of art. It's a it's got different components. It's a small business. It's all those things, you know. And I think really giving it all my all, I feel rewarded by that. And now this year is about, okay, I feel really good about what I've created within my personal life and my family framework. And now I want to take my talents
LeBron
to South Beach. And I'm gonna LeBron James it back over to my back over to my professional life.
Let's go
and scratch that itch and figure out that puzzle, because I think it's time.
It's interesting how you mentioned before the, like, I guess quote unquote existential thoughts that you had, and how like this beautiful journey you've had as a mother has kind of forced you to, I guess, address the aspect of having multiple identities and how to feed both, because you may not probably have realized it in the moment, but you are now. And it's cool that like life is having you address it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you realize, and again, you got to try it, right? Like, all right, like I'm just gonna dead this over here and just put all my eggs in this basket. And then you realize, no, in order to fully and authentically be me as hell, I need both. Yeah. And I think that that's been a beautiful discovery for me. And again, it's just different for everyone.
Yes.
You know?
That's an important part to note, I think.
Learning that about myself has been very informative and really setting the theme for me this year.
That's really exciting. And I'm sure, I mean, if your life has taught you anything, at least when I look at it, it's like you've juggled things in the past really, really well. So I'm sure you're going to do fine.
Maybe I'm a juggler.
Yeah, a professional juggler.
A professional juggler and a puzzler.
Yes, a puzzler of life.
Yeah, you thought you were going to interview a DJ. Nope, I'm a puzzler.
Yeah, you should put that in your bio. Professional puzzler.
Life puzzler.
Yes, professional life puzzler. Well, Sam, thank you so much for sharing so many intimate parts of your mindset and, you know, your life journey. And what you're looking forward to in 2025. Is there anything else, obviously, other than, you know, this journey that you explained that you're looking forward to this year in 2025, or just even after that?
I'm staying open. I don't know what is ahead, but I'm looking forward to whatever comes my way.
Okay.
I'm staying open, and I don't know. I think we're just out here just living and breathing and thinking.
I love that.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge deal for me.
Huge.
The show, the podcast, getting SoSuperSam on it was
I'm
like,
sorry.
check.
I'm sorry it took so long. I was like,
not
oh
at
my
all.
gosh, you DM me, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do this.
Yes.
We have to do this.
We've been talking about it for like
For
a few years. Yeah.
Years.
Well,
I'm really sorry about that.
No need to apologize. It was well worth the wait. This was like an amazing conversation.
Season 3 for you.
Season 3, exactly. She's tapped into the seasons, but no, it was well worth the wait, and being able to finally check this off the list is like pretty big for me, because like I was been tapped in on what you've been doing for a while. So to get to understand your mindset and how you've achieved what you've achieved, I think is going to help out a lot of people that are listening to the episode, you know.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yeah. Any last words on your end?
Everyone be well.
Everyone be well.
And try your best. And keep going. Whatever it is that you're working on, just keep going.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll end with that. From Ambiance, Creative Ambiance, this is Levi and SoSuperSam checking out. We'll catch you next time. Salute. Peace.